This is an interview with Dorez Smith. He's the owner of Smith Brothers Painting Incorporated, a commercial and residential painting company in the city of Richmond, Virginia. Mr. Smith has owned his business for more than 20 years. Mr. Smith, what made you decide to go into business for yourself? A lot of businesses fail. Starting businesses doesn't work for a lot of people. And sometimes it may be just a little bit easier to work for somebody else. You know, you might not even like your boss, but they take care of all of the paperwork, the payroll, hiring and firing of people. They do all of that. So what made you decide to go into business for yourself?
Well, actually, it was nothing that I planned and didn't even give it a thought. It just happened. I was working for another company, and my father was sick, and I was doing painting on the side, and I just decided that I was going to go full time, and I just did it. Just went full time, and here we are today.
Haven't turned back. Okay, my next question is, in the late 19th century, in the early of 20th century, we had leaders like Booker T. Washington, W.E. Du Bois, and even native Richmonder Maggie L. Walker from the banking industry. They all encourage black business ownership as a means of self-help, to uplift the black community, and overall, just a better way of life. In 2023, do you think that black business owners subscribe to these ideals? What are your thoughts about black business ownership? Has owning a business created a better life for you? And if so, in what way?
Yes, in different ways. Financially, for one, and as far as helping other people, helping other young people try to get their own, and using myself as an example for where I have come from. If I can own a business and thrive, that they can do the same thing. So that's one of the things that I try to do, and I look back at the past, and for other black owners, I think that they would want that also.
Okay. Do you think that blacks have a hard time establishing a business? And if so, why?
It's probably building a customer base, and I think we have to reach outside of our comfort zone to be more diverse, and that's not easy to do.
So is it only about not really reaching out or being diverse? I mean, do you think blacks have an easy time raising capital, or even having the money to start a business, or being able to go to a bank and say, hey, here's my business plan, this is what I want to do, can I get a loan? Do you, or have you known anybody to experience, like, I really want to do this, but I just don't have the money?
Yeah, and looking at myself, I didn't do that way, because I didn't think that I would be able to go in and get a loan. It's always been kind of difficult for blacks to go out and acquire that type of loan for some reason or another.
Was your business relatively easy to get off the ground as far as startup costs?
Yeah, because I just I didn't have any money. I just went out and got a couple of jobs, and one thing led to another. I was just blessed, I didn't have a plan. I just went out and did it.
So you were basically buying your paint as you needed it,
As I needed.
buying your brushes as you needed it,
Yeah.
renting equipment maybe sometimes, or buying things slowly but surely, but eventually you began to kind of have your own equipment. So by the 10th job or by the 20th job, you didn't have to necessarily just run out and get a bunch of supplies. You kind of already had your stuff.
Yes, that's some way the way I did it. Each job, I just try to buy something that I know I was going to need in the future,
Okay.
and also taking care of your equipment is a big plus. You got to take care of your equipment in order to sustain, and not have to keep buying the same thing over and over.
And that's being practical and smart. All right. How did you grow your business, and 20 years later, how do you continue to stay in the game?
My business is basically a word of mouth, and I don't do a lot of advertising. I just do the right thing. And when you have customers and you tell them what you're going to do, and they actually they let you know what they're looking for, and you deliver on that, that has a tendency to have a snowball effect and getting other customers. Referrals. My company is based on referrals and professionalism and doing the right thing, and that's how I got to keep going.
So treat the customer right, and they treat you right by letting a friend know about you, and letting their church members know about you, and on and on and on.
Good news travel fast, just like bad news travel fast.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. What's your business philosophy, and what are the principles that you live by as a business owner?
I live by doing what you say you're going to do, and if you do that, you'll be successful. And also, if you have complaints, make sure you take care of that. Make sure you on time and deliver a good product.
And I would imagine after all of these years, your customers rely on that because they've heard, he's going to be there on time. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So that's definitely a good reputation to have in the business world. Okay, now we're going to switch gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk about economics. Painting is more of a luxury, cosmetic type of business. You don't have to have your house painted. You don't have to have your building painted, your office painted. Walking into a building with freshly painted ceilings and beautiful walls, or seeing a house when you're driving down the street that's really nicely painted, I mean, that looks great. But again, that's something that you don't have to have. When has the economy affected your business? In the 2000s, we've experienced a lot of ups and downs. We're going into a recession. Maybe we're not. Things like Hurricane Katrina, different things happen. Oil prices skyrocket. Gas is higher than we've ever experienced. And oftentimes that translates into groceries being higher. So therefore, paint supplies, paint in itself, I'm sure, has gotten higher than when you started. So how has that affected your business? And, are you having to charge your customers more, or are you just trying to make it all work out, and you're, just trying to do the best you can as far as keeping the prices down?
Yeah, things definitely have gone up. Paint brushes, everything's going up. But I just try not to try to be affordable, and I try to be fair. And my main thing is being fair. I always tell my customers I'm going to be fair to you, but I also have to be fair to myself. So I just try to be fair, and in a lot of instances, as far as the paint, I would charge them the same amount that I pay for it. I can get a discount and save them money. And I show them that. I say, if you go in the store, you're going to have to pay this. But if I go in the store and get you, because some of my customers actually say, well, I buy the paint, Mr. Smith. I said, no. I said, well, you can buy it if you want to, but if I buy it, I'm going to save you money. And I show them how I'm going to save them money. And they appreciate that, because most contractors, and it's not illegal and not unfair, they always tack on more for the expenses, which is common to do. But I don't do that. I give them the same price that I pay for it.
So the ups and downs of the economy affects you maybe in some ways, but you try not to just let it make you have to charge exorbitant prices. You try to keep everything fair. No matter what the economy is doing, you try to balance everything out to keep it as fair as possible.
Yeah, I try to keep it fair, and also you have to keep in mind the customer also knows. They know that prices are going up, and so they realize that it might cost them a little bit more to get the job done. But I try as best I can to give them a reasonable price.
Okay, now more recently, did the pandemic greatly affect your business? Did you have to cease operations at any time?
Believe it or not, the pandemic was good for my business.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it was good for my business. I had the opportunity to paint the Greater Richmond Convention Center during the pandemic, so it was one of my better contracts, and I stayed busy almost, not the entire time, but when it first hit, when everybody was not working, I was working. I kind of felt bad at one point that I was working and everybody else was at home, but that's the way it worked out. But
so contracting, I guess, was one of those essential type of businesses that it was okay to go ahead and work. Like, did your workers, like as far as the people that work with you or for you, were they comfortable with being around other people? Because with the pandemic, we didn't know what was going on. I mean, to be perfectly honest, everybody was just sort of like mask on, you don't want to be near people, you don't want to work around people, and a lot of people started working at home during that time. But I mean, were your workers pretty comfortable with going into someone's home or going into a business where other people are present and doing their daily work?
Yeah, they were comfortable. Basically, during that time, like I said, we were fortunate that we worked in commercial space, and we didn't do much residential at that point. We were fortunate enough to have a contract to do some commercial work, and therefore we went around a lot of people, and we had it set up where we could not be close among each other, and wear masks, and make sure we kept our hands clean. We went through the process. And the people at the Richmond Center also helped us through that process. And
I guess commercial spaces tend to be larger than someone's home, so yes, that may have definitely given you the 6 feet or more that you needed to keep your distance. Okay, we are living in a time where everywhere you go, from the post office to the Hardee's, Walmart, wherever, everybody's hiring. Is it hard finding workers, and is it hard keeping workers at this time? Because the economy, again, we don't really know which way it's going. Gas prices are still high. They're not as high as they used to be, but they're still high, and everything always, the government's going to shut down, and, we're at the cusp of a recession, and, we don't really know what's going on, but, is it, pretty easy, or are you having to find new workers every other day?
Well, fortunately, I haven't ran through that problem. I've been fairly lucky as far as having workers and getting workers. So it's not, but it hasn't been a problem.
Well, that's definitely good for you then. Do you find that Black businesses support other Black businesses?
Yeah, we do, but I think we can do a lot better.
Like, when you say do a lot better,
I think more. We can do more business together, and maybe help create some more and encourage other people to do what we're doing.
Okay, do you find that Black people in general patronize Black businesses? And if not, why do you think that is? Because I know Maggie Walker, in a lot of her speeches, she would talk about how, we need to support each other, and when you go to the white businesses, they don't treat you fairly, or they don't even want your business. Sometimes you can't even go into the front door, but yet you keep going back to businesses that don't treat you fairly, when you can come to black businesses and be treated and welcome, a whole lot better. So again, do you think black people in general try to patronize black businesses?
Yeah, I think they do, but I think they look for more out of black businesses than they do, I would say, white establishments. And my point is that in some instances I'll go to give an estimate for a black customer, and they would say, oh, you can't give me a better deal than that. I think that's right high. And I know within myself that it's not high, because I know my competitor might be twice as high. But they expect me to do something simply because I'm black and they're black that they would ask my competitor to do. So it's
So the expectation is different. When blacks do businesses with blacks, they're just like, oh, well, I know he's going to give me a good deal, or
look out for a brother, that type
be.
thing. Look out for a brother.
Yeah.
And if I'm in your house and I'm painting and we already don't go on the contract and I'm supposed to paint this wall, and that wall, but not that wall, they have the tendency to say, well, can you get that spot over there? Or can you get that spot over there? We didn't discuss that.
Yeah.
But they would ask me to do that, but they wouldn't ask my competitor to do that.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's a difference.
They expect a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. The painting business has been traditionally dominated by white-owned companies. Do you get support from other black painting businesses, or is it pretty much every man for himself? Like in the city of Richmond, besides your company, how many black painting businesses that you know of exist?
I know a lot of black people black guys that paint, but would I consider them a business? Because they don't have. I would say maybe 10 that I know that are actually
a business,
licensed business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you see any support within that network? Like, do you all run into each other in the paint store every once in a while, or out and about, and say, hey, what's going on? Do you have work? Or, those paintbrushes are so high now, or this is cutting into my bottom line. Do you have those conversations with other black business owners in the painting business?
Yeah, we definitely run into them, and we talk about certain things, and sometimes we talk about collaborating and working on projects. Hasn't happened yet, but we talking about it. Maybe somewhere in the future it will happen that we can get together and work on some things. It would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that would be a good idea if you all can get something that's going to work out for everybody. Okay, over the past 15 years or so, there has been an influx of painters and other contractors from the Latinx community. They oftentimes do the work faster, and they definitely do the work cheaper. Has this greatly affected your business and the prices that you charge?
At one point it did, but not now. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of people, Latin people that works with me, and but it has an effect. It has maybe taken away a few jobs from me for their prices being lower. I don't say how they do it, but they do it. But no, overall it hasn't affected me.
Okay, well that's good then. Mm-hmm. All right. How has your business changed over the years? I mean, 20 years is a long time to be in business, though. There are businesses that have been in the works for 50 years or 75 years. The type of work that you do, what has changed over the years? The materials that you use, the customers and their expectations. Like, what do you see that has greatly changed from day one when you started up until now, if anything?
No drastic change. I mean, painting is painting. It's not for so much can change. I mean, products might get better. You might get better products, but as far as techniques and the way you do it, it's just basically the same. It's painting. That's one thing we always talk about in the paint store. That computers and all this, taking a lot of people's jobs. You go to the store and you have all these self-checkouts and you don't see nobody no more. But they can't get a computer to put paint on the wall. Not just yet.
So that there's job security
right now.
in painting. No technology. There's not going to be a robot in the future that are painting people's houses and stuff like that. Okay, well, maybe I'll come back to you in like 10 years and see if you're saying the same thing. Okay, the last two questions. Who are and were some of your role models in business, like over the years? I mean, or maybe when you were a little boy, or as you were growing up as a teenager, or even, now. Did you see Black businessmen or women doing what they do on a daily basis with a smile on their face, and you said to yourself, you know what, I want to be like that one day, or I appreciate what he or she does, and maybe one day I can try to own my own business?
Growing up, I really didn't look at it like that. It's just something that didn't ever cross my mind. But as I got older and I took notice to, I met Dr. Frank Roy, and I saw the way that he had established his business, and he talked to me a lot about certain things. So I think he was one of my role models. As far as just work ethics and going to work and doing the work the right way, I have to give that credit to my stepfather. He was a guy that always went to work every day, and that had a good work ethic. And that's the person who really molded me into the type of person that I am as far as my business, as far as working. He was the main person behind it.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's work ethic. Everybody doesn't have that.
Yeah.
A whole lot of people don't have that these days. So they just kind of want to come in, do as little as possible, and get a paycheck. But you and your role models, whether it was Dr. Royal, who, though he's a physician, he still had a business ethic, and he had a business that he established that existed for years. So it doesn't really matter what type of business that you do. Yeah. So I think that's great. And lastly, how do you measure success? And do you consider yourself successful?
Well, I've been around for 20 years, so I must be doing something right. And I really don't always measure success about the amount of money you make. It's about continuously do the right thing and being able to sustain. I've been doing it for almost 20 years, so I feel like I'm successful because I'm still doing it.
Well, Mr. Smith, I thank you for your time, and I'll see you in 10 more years, and we'll have another conversation about business.
Hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.